It is story time on Kansas Sports Chatter, our opportunity to touch base with the KSHSAA Covered writers. And joining us today is Scott Paske. And hey, Scott, we got another Hall of Fame inductee that I want to talk to you about here on today's show. Klaus Kollmai, this is the one of the other inductees from the KSHSAA Hall of Fame. I mean, tell me about his story. I was reading your article just this morning again, just kind of refreshing my information, and just a remarkable story out of Germany.
Yeah, Klaus, is just notorious or known around the state. Not notorious, but really well known around the state. Known as Mr. Soccer, and really was kind of a driving force behind getting the sport growing at the high school level here in Kansas. And I was able to spend some time with him this summer. Had a long lunch with him. I was kind of curious, how does a guy from Germany end up in the middle of the United States and influencing soccer, and his story it's so fascinating. He came over to the States in second grade and basically flew over one day. We started school here in Wichita the next day. Didn't know any English. Kind of had a rough family situation and got over here with his mom and stepfather and really had to kind of feel his way through and learned English, what he could at school, but by also watching the Little Rascals and some cartoons on TV at home. So, just really had to kind of grind his way through his early years and eventually had a real good kind of middle school run, but then enrolled at Wichita East in high school, and things kind of took a bad turn for him. He actually was a high school dropped out temporarily, went back to Europe for a little bit, came back to the States and kind of had trouble finding a high school here in Wichita to finish up. Was able to pass the test and got into Wichita Collegiate of all the schools, and ended up graduating from there and kind of launched himself into a teaching and coaching career. Graduated from Wichita State, but just through it all, that love for soccer, he kind of kept bringing that along with him and introduced the program at Wichita South. Got it started as a club sport in the late 70s, and this time of year, the Titan Classic, Wichita South's high school soccer tournament. That's a tournament that Klaus started back in 1979, which is the first year when South played as a varsity program, and that tournament continues today. It's one of the bigger high school tournaments in the state every year. But Klaus started the program at Wichita South, kind of got the sport growing in the Wichita City League, and then eventually expanded out throughout the rest of the state. Started the college program at Newman University in the mid 80s, and so kind of had those dual roles of getting programs started at the high school and college level. Eventually helped the State High School Activities Association kind of as a rules administrator, rules liaison, putting on clinics around the state and helping the sport grow in other areas. But Klaus, just a really interesting background, and that background I talked about were kind of the struggles that he went through growing up. He ends up after several administrative roles in the Wichita area, ends up being the hearing officer for disciplinary matters in Wichita USD 259. And so he's got this role. After coaching, he goes into soccer officiating and has kind of a dual role as the judge and jury for disciplinary matters in the Wichita School District, and use that background, all those struggles growing up, to, I think, really, he had to make some tough calls. That's playing judge and jury on long-term suspensions and things like that is really kind of a difficult role. But he said it kind of ran parallel to his soccer officiating, and the two, he said, kind of ran hand in hand and helped him officiate some tough matches over 30 plus years at the high school, college level, and so. Yeah, very. I know I wove quite a tapestry there, talking about all the different things he did. But Klaus, just a very fascinating character, and one who with a real dynamic personality, and I think that kind of helped. Sometimes getting that new sport into an area where people aren't used to it, you can rub some people the wrong way. But Klaus had a good way of navigating all that and really helping high school soccer become a big thing here in Kansas.
Hey, Scott, really good story. And encourage everyone to go check that one out, and also the rest of the KSHSAA Covered articles. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you next month.
Enjoyed it very much, Cole. Thanks.
That is Scott Paske, one of the KSHSAA Covered staff writers, joining us here for Story Time on Kansas Sports Chatter.